Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Political Ray. We've got a couple stories going on today that we're going to get into. First off, just the Department of Education still trending, still pretty much the talk of the town right now at this point. Um, they've they're supposed to go back to work today. They shut their doors yesterday. Tuesday told everybody to vacate the building by 6 o'clock. Take take your laptops home. As some people were allowed to work from home yesterday. Supposed to open back up as of today, but as far as I understand it, last night they let go of almost just over 1,300 people within the Department of Education. Good, good. I mean, as far as I understand it, these people that were let go were people that didn't play any kind of pivotal role. They were just kind of there. So, okay, I'm fine with it. This is, again, people are saying, oh, is this what you voted for? Yes, it is. But a lot of people are up in arms about this because, oh, the people are losing their jobs and blah, blah, blah. But there was no outcry when President Biden came into office and shut down the Keystone XL pipeline when it was over 10,000 people that lost their jobs after he shut down that pipeline. There was no outrage over that, but this is a different story because it's government funded jobs. Anyway, I digress. So we'll get into that. And we also got the CR, the continuing resolution bill that did go through the House, got voted through the House by barely. It was barely. I think it was 2 votes that it went through with. Just 2 over. So that barely made it through. It's supposed to go up to the Senate. Now, if it does not pass the Senate, the government is scheduled to shut down on Friday at midnight. Okay. I don't care if it does. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't care. Oh, these politicians, they're not going to get paid. Oh yeah, they'll still get paid. You think that they rely on their government check every month? No, they don't. These people are worth millions and millions of dollars, the majority of them anyway, and the government shutting down isn't going to affect them. The people that it does affect is, I feel bad for veterans who rely on their, the disabled pay that veterans receive. That's going to get, closed off for a little bit if the government shuts down. And all these Democrats are up in arms about the fact that this CR, this continuing resolution bill, they're still spewing out the same talking points, which are lies. But we'll get into it. Anyway, let's see here. We'll take a look at the Department of Education. We'll talk about this real quick first. I know I've covered this already, but this is still a big talking point as far as the Democrats are concerned. And we're just going to get into it. And like I said, just anyway, from the Pulse Millennial, this is about the DOE getting shut down yesterday due to security issues. That's, as I said yesterday, I don't know what the security issues are. Nothing's still come out about anything about the security issues. I don't know why. It doesn't specify. Nothing's come out about it. I can speculate all I want. I think maybe it's got to do with the fact that, Doge wants to go in there, and if nobody's there, they can have free reign of the building. They can take a look at files, etc., without any kind of blowback or interference from people that are working there. So that's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's just what I take from it. Security issues, like I said, it's just what I take. It's just my opinion. It's just what I think. So I could be wrong, but maybe that is the case. I just think that they don't want nobody in there interfering with Doge going in there and going through files and everything else. So that's just what I think. But anyway, take a look at this from the Post Millennial, and this is Linda McMahon confirms massive personnel cuts are first step in eliminating education department entirely. I'm all for it. Said it before, I'll say it again. It's a failed experiment. The DOE is a failed experiment. We have low numbers of testing and everything else. Now, Tim Walz has come out against this, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But anyway, take a look at this first. Education Secretary Linda McMahon confirmed Tuesday that recent mass layoffs within the Department of Education are the first step towards dismantling the agency, aligning with President Trump's promise to abolish the department. Again, I'm all for it. It's a failed experiment. Let it go back to the states. Put in place, the school choice. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 100 times more just to drill it in everybody's head. School choice is, in my opinion, the way to go. It incentivizes schools to do better. They want the students to come to the schools. It's going to incentivize them to be better, to get more students, to get the funding that they need to keep the schools open. That's my opinion. I don't think I'm wrong about it. Incentive, make the schools want to be better. That's what it does. During the interview with Fox News host Lauren Ingram, McMahon was asked if the decision to lay off nearly half of the department's workforce was part of a broader plan to a total shutdown of the agency. Yes, actually it is, she responded. Again, I'm here for it. Good. Shut it down. Can you keep it? I mean, I know it takes Congress to actually shut down this department, but you know what? It doesn't take Congress to just take it down to a skeleton crew and make sure the funding is going to where it needs to go. There's all kinds of rumors and talks about where this money is actually going. I seen a report this morning, about the fact that there was only actually 10 or 20% of the funding that goes. Now this funding for this, it's a huge budget. It was like I want to say it was somewhere around $280 billion annually. That's a huge budget for this department. And the rumors flying around is that it's only roughly about 20% of that money. Now I'm paraphrasing on the numbers. I'm probably a little bit off. Maybe it was a little less than 280 billion, but still the fact remains it's a huge budget for this program. If you got a skeleton crew, it's going to be a lot easier to actually see where this money is going, who it's funding, etc. I'm all for it. I'm also all for the fact that put it through Congress to actually just shut the whole program down. Send it back to the states, let them take care of their own schooling. And then you can weed out if you send it back to the states, you'll actually see who's actually doing a good job within the public school system and who's just outright failing with their programs within the states. That's how I feel about it. Well, I shouldn't say feel. That's what I think. Anyway, that was the president's mandate, McMahon added. His directive to me clearly is to shut down the Department of Education. That's what he said. He came out and he said, I want Linda to put herself out of a job. He wants this department closed, and I am all for it. People, is this what you voted for? Yep, sure is. Shut it down. While Trump has long argued that the department is inefficient and has failed to improve education nationwide, true statement, McMahon emphasizes that the administration is aware it must work with Congress to formally eliminate it. It's true, but you can still cut it down to just a skeleton crew and make sure the money's going where it's supposed to be going. What we did today was to take the first step of eliminating what I think is a bureaucratic bloat, McMahon said, clarifying that the department will keep good people in place and cuts will not interrupt funding for educational programs. That's fine. How can you not be okay with that? Anyway, what we did today was to take the first step of eliminating what I think is bureaucratic. I already read that. Never mind. We wanted to make sure that we kept all the right people, the good people, to make sure that the outward-facing programs, the grants, the appropriations that come from Congress, all of that are being met, and none of that is going to fall through the cracks, McMahon explained. The Trump administration has drawn sharp criticism for its efforts to dismantle the Department of Education, particularly from American Federation of Teachers, the teachers' unions. The teachers' unions is a joke, okay? The teachers' unions, this is the same people that didn't want to go back to work after the whole COVID thing was over, the lockdowns were lifted, yada, yada, yada. These are the same people that didn't want to go back to work because they'd rather sit on their butts collecting a paycheck, not having to worry about anything else. These people are, and they call them the true heroes no, they're not. I'm not an advocate for unions. I don't like them. I think they're a waste of money. I think that that's all they are. It's just a money grab operation. Now, I can say in the early days of the unions, I'm okay with saying that they were a good thing. They worked for the people, getting fair wages for, a hard day's work. I'm okay with that. I understand the premise behind why it was actually started in the first place. But what they have become nowadays, they're in my opinion, I think they're worthless. I'm not a fan of the unions. I'm not. I don't like them. You can disagree with me. That's fine. I'm not a fan of the unions. Let's see. Excuse me. Let's see. Sure. Let's see. Administration of getting rid of education and taking opportunities away from kids. Now, let's see. We're not taking away education, McMahon said in response. The president never said that. He's taking the bureaucracy out of the education so that more money flows to the states. How can you not be okay with that? I don't get how you could argue against this. The only reason that I could see blowback from this being taken away is because of the fact that most likely, I think that this is just another program that these people in Congress are funneling money through, going back to NGOs, sending money back to their own pockets. That's what I think. I could be wrong. Again, I don't think so. I think that there's no other reason why they would be pushing back on this so hard. And the fact that the rumors coming out, and I think it was McMahon that actually said that it's only about roughly 20% of the money coming into this program is going to the schools. How is that possible? Methinks that there's maybe something else more at play here. I think people are lining their pockets, methinks. That's just what I think. Better education is closest to the kids. I think we'll see our scores go up with our students when we can educate them with parental input as well, she claimed. A senior official said the department laid off 1,315 of its nearly 4,000 employees who were redundant or not necessary for the functioning of the department. That's not even close to half. That's been the big talking point, is that they've cut half of the people from within the department. That's not even close to half. Half of 4,000 is 2,000. That's not even close to half. Anyway, I digress again. According to the New York Post, the number adds to the nearly 600 staffers who left the agency after accepting buyouts by the administration. That's another thing. Another good point that the Democrats will not talk about. They won't mention the fact that, nearly 600 people took a buyout from the administration. It's the same thing that happened when people were offered, was it 6 or 9 months of pay. They got an email, said, look, you can stick around if you want. It was USAID. You can stick around if you want to, or just reply to this email saying you'll take this buyout. You'll still be on the payroll for the next 9 months. A lot of people took it. Can't say that I blame them. Honestly, if somebody offered me a payout and I was going to get paid for the next 9 months without having to do anything, be pretty enticing. I can't lie. I know I might have mentioned it before that I would go ahead and take it. Thinking about it more a little bit, I think I'd have to mull it over. I'm not really sure I would or not. Anyway, anyway. We have to identify where the bloat is, where the bureaucracy is, and where we're going to start there, because so many of the programs are really excellent, McMahon said. So there's that. I mean, again, like I said, I don't know how you can not be okay with this. Seems like they're still keeping the money flowing. There's no cuts anywhere as far as as of right now. The money that's still allocated for this department is still going to the department. So you can't say that they're cutting anything because they haven't yet. Perhaps maybe down the line, perhaps save a little bit of money. Doge is still going in there. They still got to, find where all the money's going to, where it's being allocated, that kind of stuff. So we don't know yet. Will there be cuts? I don't know. Perhaps there will be. Look at all the crap they found within USAID. It's insane, the stuff that they found. If you want a good list of it, just go watch President Trump's State of the Union, not State of the Union. He lists a lot of the stuff that Doge found within the USAID and a couple other programs that they've gone through already. So they're cutting the bloat, and I'm all for it. This is taxpayer money, our money, that we're funding the government, and it's they've got all kinds of shady stuff going on as to where the money's going and everything else. But again, I'll say I don't see any kind of cuts or anything else as far as this program or anything else. That being said, go ahead and Tim Walz has come out and talked about this. And this guy, I've got a couple of points as far as this guy is concerned. Not a fan of him. Anybody who knows me knows this. I think the guy's an idiot. But that being said, this guy is coming out and talking all kinds of smack. But you can let me take a look at this. You let me know what you think about it, and I'll let you know what I think about it. Take a look.
These folks don't want to be involved in politics. They want to teach kids. They chose this profession because it's what they love. And now they've been thrown into the middle of this absolutely ridiculous fight. And it will go just as well as the tariffs have gone, just as well as the stock market's going, just as well as egg prices have gone. But
just a quick side note, egg prices are actually coming down now. So there's that.
This time it's our kids. Look, let's just name it what it is. The president has no idea how education works.
Neither do you, Tim. Neither do you. This is the same guy that put tampons in men's bathrooms. He doesn't know how education works either. He just talks. He just has his talking points. He grandstands. I don't think this guy knows how government works. But that's just my opinion. Keep going with this.
He has no idea how these work. He has no idea how any of this works. Reallocating them to what? These are professionals that understand. These are civil rights attorneys that understand and making sure we're getting it right. These are educational experts that research. When we talk about research, we're not reading Newsmax online.
Aren't
it's
you?
peer-reviewed studies to show what brain science looks like and how you get an impact. These people have no idea on this, that this is just a random dude who came in and said, cut money, and this is a place, it is a place where we spend money because it's our future, and they're just randomly cutting it. These folks don't.
Look, this guy does not know anything. Look, for one, right at the end there when he said, brain, talking about, research, within the human brain, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't even know anything about that either. And the Department of Education, as far as I understand it, doesn't grant money towards colleges, Ivy League schools, that kind of stuff, where you would actually learn about brainstem research and all that kind of stuff. But I want you to take a look at this. This is just with Tim Walz talking about this stuff. Maybe he should just worry about his own state. This guy, his state is not doing well as far as K through 12 schools. He's not doing well. Maybe he should just worry about his own state because he's not doing well. Take a look at this. This is look, Minnesota Department of Education released data in August 24 showing the math and reading scores. Let me get rid of me real quick here so you can see the whole thing. There we go. Now, let's see. Math and reading scores in the Minnesota comprehensive assignments remained stagnant, with about half of students meeting or exceeding grade level standards in both subjects. Look, about half of Minnesota's math, 45% of students proficient, 45%, and the reading was just barely over half. That's not good numbers. I know this kind of frames it in a good light, but it's not good when you've got just barely over half proficient in reading, and you got 45% of students were proficient in math. That's it. This frames it really badly, but look, I'm going to tell you right now, when you've got just barely half of your K through 12 students that are barely able to read at their grade level, that's not good. It's not good, Tim. Maybe you should worry about your own state. That's just what I think. Anyways, now take a look at this. This is just I want to put this up here just to remind everybody that you know, this is him. Just look, he wants to get rid of it. I'm all for it. Anyway, take a look.
They're not doing a good job. And if you take a look at our education process, and if you look at the charts, because they have numerous charts where they do the top 40, we're at number 37, 38, 39, and 40. And recently they hit, during Biden's last few days, they hit last. So they were number 40, and yet we're number 1 in cost per pupil. So it's pretty bad. But
a number of the
we have
states
a dream, and you know what the dream is? We're going to move the Department of Education. We're going to move education into the states, so that the states, instead of bureaucrats working in Washington, so that the states can run education. And they're not doing a good job.
Yes, I'm all for it. Do it. Abolish this failed. Look, 79. The DOE was inscribed. It was brought forth in 1979. Over $2 trillion we've spent in this program. And we're finishing last among the countries who actually report back, you know. We're finishing last, but yet we spend the most money per student, but we're still last. It's a failed experiment. Excuse me again. Failed experiment. Send it back to the states. Let them enact school choice. I know not all states are going to do that. Minnesota, I very highly doubt would. Tim's not going to do that. I don't think. I could be wrong. I hope he does. I hope he does enact school choice. I think that it's a why not? Why not try something? Why not try something different? You've already got this DOE that's a failed experiment. Send it back to the states. Enact school choice. Incentivize the schools to be better. I know I keep repeating it, but it's just how I feel. I think that school choice would be the best way to go about it. Again, it incentivizes the schools to be better. Anyway, so I'm gonna move on here. We got the continuing resolution. I think I've talked over 20 minutes. I've talked about this Department of Education, but I feel very strongly about the fact that, you know, everything I've said, I feel very strongly about school choice and that the DOE needs to go away. I feel very strongly about that. And y'all can disagree with me, and that's fine. But that's just what I think. I think it's a failed experiment. We can try something else. Anyway, the continuing resolution that went through the House barely went through by 2 votes. Okay, barely went through, and that's okay. You know, fine. It went through. It's up to the Senate now. They're coming out and they're saying that the House Democrats are not going to pass this thing. Now, in the past, they've said, "Oh, we can't have a government shutdown. There's going to be people that are not getting paid. Veterans need their money. You know, disabled veterans need their money. We're not going to get a paycheck. I don't care about that. All kinds of stuff." But old Chuck Schumer, he's leading the charge on this. And I remember, I'm old enough to know that you know, back when Biden was in office, they were blaming the Republicans and saying that they were okay with a government shutdown because that's what their constituents wanted. I don't think that was the case. I think they just talk out their butts and they lie and they lie and they lie. And we're gonna get into this. Check this out. This is Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor talking about this coming up to the Senate, and take a look.
Mr. President,
the Democratic leader.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats. Because of that, Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean April 11th CR that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
Okay, let me just clarify this for you. The CR, the continuing resolution that the Republicans have put up and that went through the House, it's basically the same bill that got passed by the Democrats when President Biden was still in office. It's basically the same thing. There's a couple extra tweaks to it, but nothing of note. There's no cutting of Medicaid. There's no cutting of Medicare. There's no cutting of veterans benefits. Nothing. It's basically the same bill. But they're coming out. This is Chuck Schumer coming out and stating, lying out his butt about this CR bill. It's the same one, but he came out saying that this is something that the Republicans drafted up without talking to any of the Democrats about it. It's the same bill that y'all passed last year when Biden was in office. Look, a continuing resolution is for 1 year. It's supposed to give the government time to hash out more negotiations to pass an actual spending bill. I don't think that there's been an actual spending bill in a very long time, because every year that I can remember going back, they're talking about a CR in order to keep the government open. This happens every single year. Now, as I said before, it's the same bill that got passed by the Democrats when President Biden was in office. It's the same bill. They didn't come out, the Republicans didn't come talk to any of the Democrats because it's the same bill that y'all passed last year. But because they didn't come talk to them, and this is what I think, because the Democrats have a different bill that they have wrote up, and because they didn't get any extra stuff into this bill that they wanted, that's why they're pushing back. That's what me thinks. That's what I think. He just said that there was another bill that they're trying to pass on April 11th. The shutdown happens tomorrow night. It's the same bill that y'all passed last year. Just get it through. I don't understand it. Anyway, this guy's a joke. Take a look at this one. This is him. This is him. I don't know where he's going. He's walking through the halls, and he gets on a little tram or whatever it is, and he's just spewing lies out his butt. Check this out. This is insane.
So is the government shutting down? Well, that depends on Donald Trump and the Republicans. They control the White House, they control the House, they control the Senate. It's really up to them. Now, the risk increased greatly when Republicans decided to send a partisan continuing resolution to the Senate that lacked any Democratic support.
It's, again, I'm going to say it again and again and again. It's the same bill that you guys passed last year when Biden was in office. It's the same bill. Just pass it. I don't understand it. He's lying. That's all they do. They lie.
So what is a continuing resolution, or CR? Let me try to explain. So government funding runs out on Friday at midnight, and in a normal world, what would happen is Democrats and Republicans would pass what's called a clean continuing resolution, a clean CR. That would essentially put the government on autopilot with all of the same funding levels that we had for the last several months, for the next several months, until something can be worked out. But that's not what happened here. Here, Republicans passed a partisan resolution that changed all kinds of funding levels.
No, it didn't.
And also stripped Congress of the ability to overturn the Trump tariffs that are...
That's a complete and utter lie. Nothing. I've looked at this. There's nothing in this CR, nothing, even remotely mentioning any kind of tariffs or, their ability to overturn them. Nothing. There's nothing in there. Perhaps methinks maybe that the one that they've drafted up that they want to pass in April, methinks that that's probably got something in it letting them overturn tariffs that President Trump wants to enact. That's what methinks.
Wrecking our economy. So that passed on a narrow 2-vote margin in the House, and now it's here in the Senate, and it doesn't have the votes. So this particular
if it doesn't have the votes, then why is it up to the Republicans? He just contradicted himself. But anyway, let's keep going.
Resolution would last for 6 months, and it gives Donald Trump 6 months to continue wrecking the government, continue cutting off funding, continue closing Social Security offices.
That's not true. None of this is true. None of it is. He's talking out his ass, okay? None of this is true.
continuing layoff of veterans and the layoff of firefighters
Not true.
essentially gives him.
He's grandstanding. This is fear mongering. This is grandstanding and fear mongering. He's out here. He's telling you all kinds of lies, telling you he's going to fire firefighters. He's going to fire these people. He's going to let these people go. This is fear mongering at its best. He is lying. Anybody who believes this guy just doesn't have any kind of critical thinking skills. I don't understand how you could listen to this guy, not do your own research, and just find out within a couple of minutes that he's lying about everything. All you got to do is bring up the bill. It's on appropriations.house.gov. Go look it up. You can see that everything he is saying is a lie. Anyway,
Another half year to continue all the destructive actions he's taking now. That's not going to fly. What we should do is something short term that will allow members of Congress to agree on setting regular funding levels for every part of the government and to insist that they be observed by the president.
This bill appropriates all the same funding, and it actually increases as far as Medicare. That actually increases Medicare spending. Doesn't do anything to Medicaid. There's no cuts on Medicaid. Not that I saw. I went through this bill. I didn't see any cuts on Medicaid. Medicare's actually increased. There's no cuts to veterans benefits. There's nothing in there saying that he's, gives the president authority to fire people. But he does. He's the executive office. He's in charge of the executive branch. He can fire people. He's the president. When did this become a thing where the president couldn't fire anybody?
That we continue to have these illegal impoundments of money.
Lies. Lie. That's all these people can do because they've got nothing else to go on. Anyway, just remember this. This is the same guy who last year talked about the CR and said we can't have a government shutdown, but now they're okay with it. The Senate has passed the bill to keep the government open, and now the bill heads to the president's desk. Even a partial shutdown by extreme House Republicans would have threatened services for moms and kids, hurt our veterans, hurt farmers, home buyers, and so much more. That was last year. Last year when they passed the same bill, pretty much, basically. Like I said, a couple different tweaks that didn't, Same guy. Look at this. This is just, I want to show you this. This is just a little, little snippet of them last year saying that, we can't shut down the government. It's going to hurt American people and blah, 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 blah. They just didn't want to lose their paychecks. But anyway, I digress. Take a look at this.
Republicans are marching America to a painful government shutdown. But we need traditional Republicans to break with MAGA extremists so we can keep the government open.
Republican shutdown will cost 6,306 of her constituents their paychecks.
Put the bill on the floor for an up or down vote so we can end this MAGA Republican nightmare. And if you don't, you own this government shutdown.
And we could put the threat of a shutdown behind us. Our agreement would keep the government open, provide emergency aid for communities battered by hurricanes and other natural disasters.
It's about the harm that House Republicans will do to the American people if the government shuts down.
One Democrat said to me,
Look, does anybody else just feel like the Democrats don't have anything else other than to just blame Republicans for everything? Does anybody else feel that way? I feel this is an issue that comes up every single year. As far as I remember it, every single year. They're talking about this again and again and again. Oh my gosh, we're facing a government shutdown. If they're okay with it, they're saying that the Republicans are trying to do bad things and that they're kind of trying to cut Medicaid and it's going to hurt the veterans and blah, blah, blah. But when they're okay with it, it's also the Republicans' fault. It doesn't, that every year they just blame the Republicans for, and again, this is the same bill. Look, I'm going to show you here. This is Senator Mullen. he come out and he said pretty much what I'm saying here. It's the same bill. Yes, it is. Because I saw this clip, I looked into it. It's pretty much the same bill. As I said, there's a couple of different tweaks, but nothing of note. There's nothing major as far as the only big change in this CR is the fact that Medicare actually has an increase in pay. That's it. The rest of it's basically the same. Anyway, take a look at Senator Mullen and look at what he says.
Chuck Schumer just came to the floor and said that they're willing to shut down the government because Senate Republicans didn't work with them on a CR. Now, remind you, what a CR means is a continuing resolution. It means it's the same CR that they voted for in September when Biden was in office.
Yes.
The same CR that they voted for in December when Biden was in office. And now that Trump's in office, they're saying they're willing to shut down the government. I can't understand what they're doing. They can't even make sense themselves. How do you not support the same level of spending that they supported from the last president to this president, other than the just pure hatred of Trump? Chuck Schumer.
It's a valid point. It's the point that I've been making, or at least trying to make. I mean, sometimes I don't articulate myself as well as other people do. But the fact remains, it seems when they've got a Democrat president, they can't have a government shutdown. It's the Republicans' fault. They can't do it. But when a Republican is in the presidency, oh, we're going to shut down the government, and it's the Republicans' fault. What? These people, they don't make sense. The only thing that they can do is blame the Republicans for everything. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys a couple other things here. This is what I was saying, that Medicare actually gets a bump in pay. Look, Section 2210 adjusts the amount of funding in the Medicare Improvement Fund from, let's see, $1.251 billion to $1.804 billion. That's a big bump. Big bump. Like I said, this is the only like big change that I saw within that within that CR. That's the only big change I saw. Anyway. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Look, like I said, I don't think, oh, that, I just did the wrong thing there. Anyway, we get rid of that. Anyway, I don't see any kind of this, like I said, they have no talking points other than to just blame Republicans for everything that they're doing. Again, it's the Republicans' fault that the DOE is being shuttered. It's the Republicans' fault that we can't pass a bill. And again, I'll say, it's Republicans' fault when there's a Democrat in the White House. They're okay with a shutdown, but it's Republicans' fault. Or no, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. When there's a Democrat in the White House, they can't have a shutdown. And it's because of Republicans that if shutdown takes place, it's because of Republicans. When there's a Republican in the White House, they're okay with a shutdown, and it's also Republicans' fault. It doesn't make sense. And again, the DOE thing, I'm okay with that shutting down. I think it's, again, I'll say it just one more time, just to hammer it into everybody's minds. The DOE is a failed experiment. We rank lowest among countries that report as far as, our test scores and whatnot. But we spend the most money per pupil. It's a failed experiment. Send it back to the states, enact school choice. I don't think that school choice is going to happen across the board. I think Republican states will do it. I don't think Democrat states will do it. Example being Tim Walz's Minnesota. I don't see it being enacted there. I could be wrong. I hope I am. I hope he does enact school choice. But the DOE is a failed experiment. There's no reason why we can't try something else. $2.something trillion spent on this program since its inception in '79. Why not try something else? It's obviously not working. Throwing more money at the problem is not working. Try something else. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Appreciate y'all hanging out. If you like what you saw, you can follow me on Rumble. I recommend going there. You can also follow me you can subscribe to me on YouTube if you want, but go to Rumble. Rumble's where it's at. That's that's where I think Rome was going to take over. But that's what I think. But you can also follow me on X at The Political Ray. Again, I appreciate you hanging out through my rants, and hope y'all have a great day. God bless, and take care.